Hi, welcome to another episode of our Seniors Chair Mobility class. For this class, we're going to add on some weights for the upper body. So we can often just look around our house and find something that will work. Right now, you might have a can of Lysol wipes lying around. Luckily, I have two, so that's what I'm going to use. You could also find something like a jug of maple syrup, a can of soup, some chicken or beef broth, anything that has a little weight to it. So we're going to work on posture today. And when I'm sitting, I want to really focus on staying nice and tall through the spine and having equal weight on my sit bones. I also want to open the chest and have the shoulders back and down. Tendency as we age is to become a little bit more curved and forward in the spine. So we're going to work on our postural muscles and strength to help reverse that. First exercise is simple, just bicep curls. So as I exhale, I'm bringing my weights towards my shoulders, and then as I inhale, I let the weights lower. If you didn't find anything to use for weights, or if you feel like it's enough challenge just using the weight of your arm, then you just bring and touch your fingers to your shoulder and then back down. So the exercise is a bicep curl, but I'm never forgetting about the posture part. So I continue to sit nice and tall, continue to keep the chest open. We're going to add another component today to our exercise, and that's focused on our breathing. So as I exhale, I'm going to curl the weights towards my shoulders. As I inhale, I'm going to control the lowering down. Exhale to curl. Inhale to lower. Exhale to curl. And then inhale to lower. Couple more times. Last one. And then let the arms rest. Now, I'm often asked how many repetitions of exercises that we should do. As we age, we want to work endurance of our muscles. That means more repetitions. So what I would aim for is 10 to 20 repetitions of all your exercises and see how you do with that. You may need to start on the smaller end and then work your way up. The next exercise we're going to do is an overhead press. So I'm going to bring my weights to my shoulders, and then as I exhale, I'm going to bring the weights overhead, or maybe just my arms overhead. I'm going to inhale as I bring the weights down towards my shoulders, and then exhale as I press up. Inhale to lower, exhale to press. So I've got the movement pattern. I'm working on shoulder strength and flexibility. I've got the posture, so I'm nice and tall through my spine. I've got my chest open, equal weight on my sit bones. I'm sitting up away from the back of the chair. And I've got my breathing. Exhale as I press overhead. Inhale as I bring my arms back down to touch the shoulders or touch the weights to the shoulders. I want you to notice as you bring your arms overhead that you're trying to keep them up by your ears. It will be a lot easier, and we might have a habit as we reach overhead to reach forward. I want you, as you bring the arms overhead, to come up as high as you can, as long as there's no pain, but it might feel like a challenge and it might feel like there's stiffness. Last time, last overhead press, and then let your arms rest back down. Very good. We'll put the weights down for a moment. And let's just give our arms a little longer rest, and we're going to work on some spine movement. We're going to practice rolling down and rolling back up. So I want you to have your feet a little wider apart, so a little wider than hip width. As I inhale, I'm going to reach my arms overhead and lengthen the spine. As I exhale, I bring the arms down to rest on my thighs, and then I tuck my chin in and I start rolling or curling one vertebrae at a time forward until I'm down as low as I can go. So you may stop here and just rest on the thighs. You may let your arms travel down the legs, and you might get down towards the floor. Where your stopping point is, you're going to take a nice breath in. And then exhale as you reverse and curl the spine back up. Let's do a couple more of those. I inhale as I lengthen, reach the spine nice and tall and arms to the ceiling. Exhale, I lower the arms, tuck the chin, and roll one vertebrae at a time. As far down as I can, I've got my arms on my thighs or on my legs, giving me as much support as I need. Deep inhale when you get to, and then exhale, rolling yourself back up. Like you're trying to stack the blocks of the spine one on top of another. Last one like this. And then rolling down. In order to roll smoothly, you need to have a lot of flexibility through your spine. I'm going to show you another version that we'll do next, where the spine is going to stay straight. And we're going to hinge and we're going to move at the hips instead. And this could be an alternative for anyone that found this one was uncomfortable. So I was coming forward by rolling or moving the spine. Now I'm going to just lean forward and hinge at the hip joints. So I'll just move my arms out of the way so you can see. And you could do that as well. If you didn't need arm support, just cross them over the chest. If you do need a little support from the arms, you can just rest them on your thighs. But our action is hinging. So I'm bringing my chest as low to my legs as I can, and then I'm bringing myself back up nice and tall. So the spine stays straight as I do this, and all of the movement is happening just at the hip joint. As you do this, you might notice that one hip is different than the other. Maybe one moves nice and smoothly, maybe one has a little bit of discomfort. And feel free, if you want to bring your feet a little more narrow or a little wider, find a comfortable position for the legs, which allows you to get a little bit further into your hip hinge. And as I lean forward, I can feel the weight go down towards my feet. And then as I bring myself back up, the weight comes back onto my sit bones. I lean forward. The weight shifts forward onto my feet. I'm going as far as my hips will allow me. And then I bring myself back up nice and tall. Okay, good job. We're going to do an opposite arm and leg motion, which is going to take a little bit of coordination. So I've got my posture. I'm sitting tall, chest is open. I'm going to breathe as I move. So as I inhale, I'm going to reach one arm overhead and I'm going to straighten the opposite leg. As I exhale, I come back to my start position. Inhale, arm and opposite leg. Exhale, start position. Inhale, reach the arm and leg. Exhale, back to your start. Keep going with this pattern, arm and opposite leg motion, which is really smart for our brain and body to train. As we walk, we move the arm and opposite leg together. So our body's designed to do this kind of crossover motion of the body. As you straighten the leg out, I also want you to think about reaching it long. Same thing with the arm. So as I bring the arm overhead, I'm not just lifting it, I'm really thinking of reaching towards the ceiling. Because whenever we think about making something long, it creates some space. So we're creating lots of space, lots of movement for the joints. Check in that you're still breathing. Inhale as you straighten your arm and opposite leg. And then exhale as you bring it back down. Last one. And then let yourself rest. For that one, you could also have added the weights into your hands. We're going to work on rotation next, and we're going to first do just the neck rotation, then we're going to do the neck and the whole trunk. So there is a difference between the two things. When our neck is stiff and we go to rotate it, what often happens is we start rotating the whole body. So I want you for this first exercise to keep the rest of the spine tall and still. So the chest and pelvis stay facing forward and the hips face forward. The only thing moving is the neck. So you're going to exhale as you turn as far as you can. Inhale back to center. Exhale, turn to look over the other shoulder. Inhale back to center. See if you can notice in yourself if you have a tendency to want to turn more things than just your neck. And then see if you can just focus on this movement at the neck. Don't let your chest turn. Exhale to turn the head. Inhale back to center. Let's do one more to each side, focused on the neck. Okay, now we're going to add in the trunk. So let's cross the arms over the chest. I'm going to turn my head and then also turn the trunk. So I'm turning to look back over my shoulder with my whole body, and then I'm going to bring myself back to the center. Opposite direction, I'm going to turn to look over to my left shoulder, and then I'm going to let my trunk follow. So I'm twisting the spine as much as I can. Back to center. You could also have your hands on your lap for this. I'm going to exhale as I turn my head and also my trunk. So I'm looking back behind me. And then I bring myself back to the center. Exhale as I twist. Inhale back to center. Notice if you've still kept a nice posture, or have you started as you've done some twisting to start to slump forward. So think about creating lots of length in the spine. And as you try and do this with a really tall spine, it's okay if you can't twist as far. Okay, maybe your work is creating this nice tall spine and the twist is less important for you. So we want to ideally combine both those things, a nice tall spine, a good twist of the spine, and also the head turn. Last time. And then let yourself come on back. Let's let our spine just rest for a moment and let our posture just go. So see what would be your natural, comfortable posture. Where would you like to be? Feel how that is a rest phase for you and a restful position. And then let's come on back up to sitting nice and tall. We're going to do our cat and cow next, where we're going to let our spine curl and we're going to purposely round it, including the neck. And then we're going to think about coming tall and even go further into an arch of the spine. Your gaze is straight ahead. Let's exhale through the spine, tucking your bum underneath you, dropping the chest and ribs, gaze is down. And then inhale, coming up nice and tall, opening the chest, looking ahead. Exhale, curling the spine. This is your cat stretch. Inhale, lengthening the spine, coming up into a gentle arch. Gaze is straight ahead. Last time. Exhale to curl. Inhale to bring yourself nice and tall. And then find your neutral spine, which is your tall spine position. And it's somewhere in between those two. We're going to finish with a few motions of the ankles. So there's two actions that our ankles need to do in order to be able to walk. We need to be able to push off. So hinging at the big toe and pushing off of the toes. And then we also need to be able to lift the toes so we don't trip over our feet and be able to bend at the ankles. So we've got this point and then this flex that has to happen. So let's work on the point and flex, work on the posture, work on the breathing. Exhale as you point the toes down and push off the big toe. Inhale as you flex and pull the toes up. Exhale to push. Inhale to lift. Exhale to push. Inhale to lift. Okay, we're going to keep going with this pattern, but let's make it a little more challenging. When we challenge motor patterns or different types of movement, it's really intelligent for our brain because our brain has to work on coordinating a new message. Especially think how far the message has to go from your brain down to your feet. So we're going to go up on one as we lift the other. So I'll show you from the front. I'm going to point one as I flex the other or bring the toes up. And then I'm going to switch. This is hard. I even had to pause there. So I'm going to point one toe down as I lift the toes up on the opposite side, and then I'm going to switch, and then switch. Keep alternating sides. So one heel's lifted as the opposite toes are lifted, and then you're going to switch. One more each way. Oh, I'm getting confused. And then let yourself rest. We're going to come back to sit nice and tall if you've lost your position. And the last thing I want us to try is trying to lift just the toes off the floor. So this is tricky. You're going to keep all of the foot on the floor, and I'll show you with my hands. So the foot's down, but then I'm just going to lift, like I'm just lifting the fingers up. I'm just lifting the toes up, and then trying to spread them at the same time, and then I place them all back down. So I'm just going to lift the toes up and spread them, and then place them back down. And just have a look down and see how you're doing. So lifting the toes up, try and spread them, especially try and spread the big toe away from the second toe. If you have bunions, or you notice that that big toe is starting to point towards the little toe, this is going to be really tricky, but it's a great exercise because we're working on strengthening the muscles of the feet and also working on getting a little bit more mobility or movement through all the bones and joints of the foot. So I'm still coming back to my tall posture. I'm lifting and spreading the toes and then placing the toes back down. 3 more times. Inhale to lift. Exhale to lower. Last one. Okay, great job. Today we focused on keeping a good seated posture. We added in some weights to some upper body motions. We added in some coordination, arm and opposite leg, doing different things with the feet, and then we worked on some rotation of the whole spine. So try this short video. It's great if you could have a routine that you go through every day, and it's nice to change it up a little bit as well. Have fun.